You worked also on a Magnificent Seven film, Magnificent Seven Ride.
We used to call the Magnificent Seven Will Never Ride Again after this movie. Hal, who I met on McClintock, was doing second unit, and he was also coordinating stunts. And we found ourselves bereft of stuntmen and women, and certainly not enough to play the cowboys, the good guys or the bad guys. So, especially not the Indians. So, what could I do but help? So I put a wig on, and I became an Indian for Hal. And one day I don't know, we were with a whole bunch of people, and I guess one of the greatest compliments I think I've ever received in my life was when Hal, in front of an awful lot of people, stood up and said, "Now there's one of the best writers in Hollywood."
Yes.
I was... No, I don't do those sort of stunts anymore. I play a nice, safe game called polo.
In that film, shooting it down in Mexico, Clint Walker had been one of the biggest stars in television as Cheyenne Bodie. What was he like?
Reserved. Mm-hmm. Wasn't a man who spoke very much. And I mean, sense of humor is kind of crucial, isn't it?
Yes.
So he kind of needed a little bit of a sense of humor transfusion. He was a very nice man, but he kind of took himself very, very, very seriously. So he'd get really intensely deep into some of that dialogue and some of those lines, which you'd have to take with a grain of salt.
Well, Pedro Armendariz Jr. was in that film too.
Pedro was great fun, and we all had a wonderful time. And Pedro also sort of doubled as an Indian and was also one of the other stuntmen. You know, I was trying to remember exactly what the first mini-series that I was involved with was. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was 5 Desperate Women, not to be confused with Desperate Housewives. 5 Desperate Women was the very first production for a newly formed company called Spelling and Goldberg. It was their very, very first production, and I think I still have somewhere the tarnished ice bucket that Aaron gave to people with the insignia on it. And we shot this in Catalina. There was a wonderful cast of characters. And Joan was a fabulous, fabulous actress, and a bit mad. And she had decided that she was going to wear a wig. And it was a newfangled wig that was made out of plastic, but it looked really good. And she thought, well, this will be great because it's not going to be a real hair wig, so it's not going to be susceptible to all of the dramas of climate. But she failed to read all the instructions about care and maintenance of a plastic wig. So she decided to wash it. We filmed on the ferry leaving from San Pedro to go to Catalina. And so we were in the salt air and all of this, and everybody's hair was frizzing and doing, except Joan's, that with really plastic hair was fantastic. And so everybody decided to wash their hair. She decided to wash her wig. But then she thought it would probably be best if she put it near the heater to dry. And then we went off to dinner. Oh. So you can imagine, I don't have to tell you what that wig looked like when we came back. It was a mass of coagulated plastic. And of course, she'd already been established with that wig on. So all hell broke loose, and they had to send emergency boats back and forth to Saks Fifth Avenue to get another plastic wig. Those were just some of the dramas of filming these.
She should have had 2. You worked also on a Magnificent Seven film, Magnificent Seven Ride.
We used to call the Magnificent Seven Will Never Ride Again after this movie. That was the sort of tone of the piece.
And that was Lee Van Cleef.
It was.
And who else was in that? Was that Mariette Hartley? Was she in that film?
No, of the boys, there was Luke Askew, absolutely. Mickey Callan.
Oh, Pedro Armendariz again.
Pedro Armendariz again. Yes.
This is a good group.
Who else?
Melissa Murphy.
Melissa Murphy.
And my notes say that Mariette Hartley is in that too.
She was Lee's wife.
Oh, she was Lee's wife. She got killed. Yeah. We got rid of her early on in the piece.
You know, maybe she couldn't ride. And it was the Magnificent Seven ride, and she couldn't ride.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah. I would have been better as one of the boys, I think.
Now, I know you said that Clint Walker was sort of stoic and withdrawn. Lee Van Cleef, who played some of the greatest villainous roles of all time, he's the leader in this. He's the good guy. What was he like off screen?
I think he was bewildered. He doesn't quite understand what we were doing on this. You see, we were filming, we weren't filming in anything that even remotely resembled a kind of weathered actual location. We were filming on the back lot at Universal Studios, and the tour was in its infancy. So periodically we would have to stop for the bus, little tram coming by, where they would say, "Oh, the tour is here, you have to stop, you have to sit there, wave at everybody, hi," then get back to the serious business of
you know, Neville Brand had a way of stopping the tours from going by his...
oh, he did? What did he do?
I really can't say. But the tour stopped going there.
We should have taken a note from him.
Well, you know, Bob Fuller said that they called their dressing area there Alcohol Row. And I guess they had a lot of fun there. It was
good old Western movies. There's a wonderful excuse for a tremendous amount of alcohol consumption.
Hi, I'm Rob Word. I hope you enjoyed A Word on Westerns. It's an interview series we do. We post a new one every single week. If you missed any, just sign up for this little baby right here. Whoa.